Hi, and welcome to Freedom Rocs. We're glad you could join us again today. In this episode, we'll be talking about safe gun storage, but first, we'd like to talk about the recent unfortunate tragedy in Tucson. Matt?
That's correct. One of the tricks the folks on the left have been trying to pull is accusing us of not caring or accusing us of ignoring events like the shooting in Tucson. Now, nothing could be farther from the truth. We certainly do care, but one incident is not what we should be focusing on. When we're talking about firearm regulation, laws, whatnot, what we're talking about is stuff that affects society at large. That means anecdotes, while they may be heart-wrenching, they may tug on the heartstrings, what we need to look at is the aggregate. What are the overall benefits of civilian firearm ownership? What are the overall liabilities? And on that, this book, More Guns, Less Crime by John Lott, which we will discuss in further detail when we go over shall issue versus discretionary issue pistol licensing. What studies have shown time and time again, and it's not just John Lott, it's also criminologist Gary Kleck, is that on the balance, civilian firearm ownership is far more beneficial to society than detrimental. Now, another tactic the folks on the left have been engaging in is their newfound respect for civility. Now, we're libertarians. This is a libertarian show. We're not conservatives. We're not liberals. We're fiscal conservatives and social liberals. That means we support fiscal sanity. And to that end, we generally tend to support the Tea Party movement. Not to be confused with Tea Party Express, Sarah Palin's organization. That's just political opportunism on her part. The Tea Party movement is all about the money. Like the line from Jerry Maguire, show me the money. And yet, folks on the left have persistently thrown all kinds of verbal bombs at us. They call us racist. They say we're white supremacists. We're upset about a black man in the White House. But the Tea Party movement actually began. The first of the modern era Tea Parties took place in late 2007. Then they started gaining a stronghold in 2008, back when it looked like Hillary Clinton was going to be the Democratic nominee. Now, that couldn't possibly be racist, yet the folks on the left throw the word racist at us. They call us racist. They call us a danger to society. They call us a threat to the president. They call us teabaggers. They call us all kinds of vile things. They call us an angry mob. They lob all kinds of ridiculous accusations. MSNBC even went so far as to deliberately crop a video. And it wasn't even a Tea Party event, by the way. There was a gentleman at a rally in Phoenix. There was I guess President Obama was speaking nearby, and this one gentleman was there carrying an AR-15 over his shoulder outside the event. Perfectly legal in Arizona. Perfectly legal. MSNBC took the video and they cropped the video so that you could only see his shirt, his pants, and his AR-15.
And not his black skin.
That's correct. They showed the guy, they showed his shirt, pants, AR-15 at this rally. And then they cut back to the studio and started talking about white people upset about a black president. They conveniently omitted the fact that this gentleman was black. Do a YouTube search for it. Go onto YouTube and search for Obama, Phoenix, AR-15. You'll find plenty of videos that show this guy in his entirety. So they pull dirty tricks like that on us. Then one liberal representative gets shot by a socialist, not a libertarian, not a conservative. Loeffner is a socialist, an avowed socialist.
Yeah, his Communist Manifesto is like on his top 5 favorite books on MySpace. You know,
Yeah,
like.
and all of a sudden, all of a sudden the liberals mysteriously discover civility.
Yeah, well, you know, another thing that's interesting, I mean, speaking about fiscal conservatism, is that the Tea Party is consistent. The new Tea Party members of Congress actually want to cut military spending, which the Democrats, who supposedly oppose, you know, military interventionism, won't touch it. But you get in these supposedly, you know, evil super Republicans in there, and they want to cut military spending, and they're against the Patriot Act. They're in favor of civil liberties, and by the way, a lot more strongly and in a more principled way than the Democrats, who claim to be in favor of civil liberties and peace.
You mean Chuck Schumer doesn't really support civil liberties?
Oh, of course not. The guy spits on them. Look at his voting record. You know, like, so. I mean, it's just funny that you know, these are actually principled, consistent people doing good things by progressive standards, and yet they continue to be demonized.
Yes, the left, folks on the left, the talking heads on particularly MSNBC, will throw all these vile comments at us. They'll carpet bomb us with insults. Then all of a sudden they'll raise the white flag and say, "Don't attack us. Don't attack us. We got to be civil now." Mysteriously discovered after an avowed socialist shoots a liberal representative. And we'll be right back.
Did you know high-quality versions of all episodes of Freedom Rocs are available on DVD? Each DVD contains 3 episodes for just $15. We also have specials that aren't on RCTV or YouTube. You can find links to all of our DVDs on the Freedom Rocs website, freedomrocs.cybermansoftware.com.
Hi, and welcome back to Freedom Rocs. Today we're discussing safe gun storage, or particularly Assembly Bill number 381, which would mandate the safe storage of firearms in the state of New York.
But first, while Chris is referencing some of the text, some of the specific text of this bill, we'd like to remind you, as always, this is a cable access show. That means we don't get Nielsen ratings. So we don't know you're watching unless you tell us you're watching. So when you get a chance, swing by this website at the bottom of your screen. That's Freedom Rocs, ROCS.cybermansoftware.com. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like.
All right, yeah. First, I'll just read the summary of it. This bill requires safe storage of all guns, either in a safe or with a locking device, and provides penalties for simple and complex violations, removal from premises or where injury or death results, I guess here in parentheses is an example of a complex violation, requires notices to be furnished upon transfer of guns and issuance renewal of licenses, defines guns as weapons in the form of rifles, shotguns, and firearms, enacts the Safe Gun Storage Act, and does not preempt local laws which are no less restrictive or stringent. In our last episode, we were talking about child-operated firearms, and we mentioned that the best way to keep children from getting their hands on guns and having an accident is to store them securely. So we certainly have no problem with safe gun storage as a whole. In fact, you may see our public service announcement airing on this station, in which we encourage
During
people,
this show, actually.
Right, during this show, excellent. In which we encourage people to store their guns safely so they're not stolen or cause accidents. But this particular bill has a couple of problems, one of which is that it says the Division of State Police shall develop and promulgate rules and regulations setting forth the specific devices, i.e. the safes or locking devices you can use, or the minimum standards and criteria, therefore, which constitute an effective safe storage depository. Now, the problem with this, obviously, is the state police could decide anything. The legislature in this case is just handing its authority over to part of the executive branch. So this unelected bureaucrat can basically set whatever rules he or she wants. They could make the rules so stringent it would be impossible to comply with them. It would be impossible to own a gun in the state of New York.
Or at least prohibitively expensive.
Right. They could say you need a safe that's, buried 20 feet into the ground in a block of concrete,
Well, the thing is that there's various aspects to a safe. What locking mechanism does it have? Does it use a key or a combination? How much does it weigh? How much fire protection does it have? All of these things are variable, and all of these things impact price. Now, there are safes you can get, like the one we show off in the, not our PSA, not the Freedom Rocs PSA, but the Greater Rochester Libertarian Party PSA. That one typically goes for about $60, not hugely expensive. On the other hand, it's a featherweight. It needs to be bolted down to a secure surface. Table, maybe that's good, maybe it isn't. After all, tables can be picked up and moved as well. So, what standards might the Division of State Police establish as the minimum requirements for a safe? For example, anything that uses a key can be picked. I went to a presentation. It was actually a computer security presentation where the guy was talking about physical security. Now, when you think of computer security, generally you think of passwords. But don't forget, computers have hard drives. Hard drives can be removed if you have physical access to the computer. So this guy went on about all kinds of ways to physically secure the computers. He had an unpickable master lock, which he was able to shim in 30 seconds. So there's no such thing as a lock that can't be picked. There's no such thing as a door that can't be pried. Obviously, there are different safes with different levels of pick resistance or pry resistance, but the better safes tend to cost thousands of dollars. The one we demonstrated in the Safe Storage PSA, which is coming up during this next break, that one cost about $60. You can get other rifle safes and whatnot for $100. They've got no fire protection, and they're fairly lightweight, can be picked up and moved. On the other hand, you can go whole hog and spend over $4,000 on a safe with a lighted interior and 2 hours of fire resistance. Now, if the state police decide that every firearm safe has to have 6 hours of fire resistance, Now you're talking about something that, as far as I know, isn't even on the market. Of course, if they set that as a standard, I'm sure some company will start making them. But you would be easily talking $5,000 just for the safe. Now, the people most in need of firearms for personal defense are people who live in rough neighborhoods. For one obvious reason, they're more likely than people who live in upscale neighborhoods to come in contact with violent criminals on a daily basis. They're also the people least likely to be able to drop something north of $1,000 on a safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's well, let me wait for this discussion until after the break, because we only have about 30 seconds left, and I'm about to go on to a semi-diatribe. But I'll just say that other than that, we support safe gun storage, and a law like this is not necessarily a bad law as long as everything is worked out beforehand. But we'll talk about this more after the break.
Did you know Freedom Rocs has swag? You can help stimulate the economy and show how much you like Freedom Rocs at the same time. We've got t-shirts for men and women. We've got coffee mugs and beer steins. We've got food and beverage thermoses. You can get your own Freedom Rocs swag with the show logo, as seen in the opening title of the show, right here at our Cafe Press shop. That's cafepress.com/freedomrocs.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom Rocs. We're discussing safe gun storage. Shortly before the break, there's a point I wanted to make about the effect of these laws. And not just safe gun storage, but there's a lot of laws that would increase the cost of owning a firearm or owning ammunition. And the problem with that is, that this, it's a burden for everybody. But when you think about the kind of, well-off, suburban or rural shooters, the kind of people that could afford to drop, $1,000 on a gun, they could conceivably, and they have 3 or 4 guns, or dropping $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a collection. First they'd want a safe, and second, they could probably afford, a more expensive safe. They might even want one, to protect their collection. But the kind of people that live in urban areas that are using guns for personal protection because they live in high crime areas don't have a lot of money. And they might be looking to spend something more along the lines of like $100 on a gun, and and not have a collection. And so instead of the safe maybe doubling the amount of money that they spend and also serving a useful purpose of protecting their collection, in fact, it would be like 40, 50 times as much money as they would be spending on personal protection, and it just puts it out of their reach. And it's quite frankly, it's discriminatory.
Now for those who aren't familiar with brands of firearms, I'd like to discuss that. They run the gamut. The prices run the gamut. You can get anything from a dirt cheap High Point, $140 MSRP, all the way up to a Wilson Classic Custom, which is north of $4,000 just for a handgun. So if the Wilson is the Rolls Royce of handguns, High Point is the Hyundai. Now, imagine, if you will, a law requiring some sort of feature for a car that adds the price of a low-end car. So you got a $140 High Point, say $140 safe, and last I checked, Hyundai's retail for about $15,000, imagine a mandate that adds another $15,000 to the price of the Hyundai. Now, people who buy Rolls Royces, if they have to pay another $15,000, I'm sure they wouldn't like it, but $15,000 is that's probably haggle room on a Rolls Royce. But the person who can only afford the Hyundai, they're going to notice that extra $15,000, and just like someone who buys a High Point is going to notice an extra $140 for the safe that's mandated. Now, the other thing is that this law requires that it be incapable. The locking device has to be incapable. Let's see if I remember. Let's look up the wording on the.
Right.
Let's see, that would be under definition, safe storage depository.
Reminds me of a movie about Houdini's life I saw a few years ago, and they're just like, this safe, no one can get into this safe, and then of course Houdini is just like magically can do it. But.
Okay, safe storage depository means a safe or other secured container which, when locked, is incapable of being opened without the key, combination, or other unlocking mechanism. That other unlocking mechanism kind of worries me because I hate to think what they might invent.
Explosives.
Well, no.
Can't be opened by explosives.
No. What kind of device the government might invent to mandate, or other unlocking mechanism, and is capable of preventing an unauthorized person from obtaining access to and possession of the weapon contained therein. Now, like I said, there's no such thing as a lock that can't be picked. There's no such thing as a door that can't be pried. And there's no such thing as a safe that is completely there's no such thing as a device that's completely capable of preventing an unauthorized person from obtaining access to and possession of the weapon contained therein. It's impossible. Now, under the definition of safety locking device, it says, safety locking device means a design adaptation, attached accessory, or device installed that, when activated, attached, or installed, prevents the discharge or firing of the weapon. The Division of State Police shall develop and promulgate rules and regulations setting forth the specific devices or the minimum standards and criteria therefore which constitute an effective gun locking device. I can't help but notice that the term they're defining is safety locking device, and then it says they're setting minimum criteria for an effective gun locking device. They can't even get their terms the same. But anyway, a number of commercially available locking devices, the trigger locks and whatnot, have been demonstrated to be fallible. There are. Let's see. I don't remember who did this. I don't remember who did the study. I'll look that up and put it in post-production. But some of these things they found, although they are designed to prevent a gun from firing, sometimes they can actually be manipulated to allow the gun to fire, and they wouldn't count as a safety locking device.
Yeah, I mean, just do the best you can to keep your firearm secure.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, nobody wants their guns to be stolen. People are going to try to prevent it. If you just think about it and you do the best you can with the resources you have available, things are going to be fine. So anyway, that's about all the time we have left here on Freedom Rocks. As always, we appreciate your comment. We don't get Nielsen ratings and all of that.
Right here at the bottom of the screen, freedomrocks.cybermansoftware.com.
Yeah, let us know you're watching.
Also, we are looking for guests. So if you would like to discuss libertarian issues or debate the counterpoint, contact us. Good night.
As you may have noticed, you can watch Freedom Rocks for free on RCTV or on YouTube, but it takes money to produce good quality TV shows. You can support Freedom Rocks by shopping at our Cafe Press shop. There you can find t-shirts for men and women, tote and gym bags, coffee mugs, beer steins, food and beverage thermoses, and a bunch of other items Cafe Press offers. You can find our shop at cafepress.com/freedomrocks, all lowercase and no apostrophe.